अस्सलाम वालेकुम एवरीवन, उम्मीद है कि आप सब खैरियत से होंगे। सो जो आज की वीडियो है बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट वीडियो है जिसमें इंटरनेशनल स्टूडेंट्स, स्किल मिग्रेंट्स एंड टूरिज्म सेक्टर की बात की गई है कि इनका ट्रैवल जो है वो 2022 में स्टार्ट होगा। लेटेस्ट अपडेट आपके साथ शेयर करूंगा, वीडियो को एंड तक देखना क्योंकि उस वीडियो में बताया गया है इंटरनेशनल स्टूडेंट्स की भी बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट प्रायोरिटी की बात की गई है। उसके बाद बाकी टूरिज्म सेक्टर की भी एंड स्किल मिग्रेंट्स। और विक्टोरिया की एक लेटेस्ट अपडेट आई है। विक्टोरिया के प्रीमियर जो है वो कह रहे हैं कि नवंबर तक हमारी 80% वैक्सीनेशन भी कंप्लीट हो जाएगी और उसके बाद बाकी जो हमारे स्टूडेंट्स हैं उनको भी हम अपनी स्टेट के अंदर बुलाएंगे। लेटेस्ट अपडेट है, सो वीडियो को एंड तक देख, लाइक और सब्सक्राइब करें एंड प्रेस द बेल आइकन। उसके बाद ऑल का ऑप्शन ज़रूर प्रेस किया करें ताकि मेरे आने वाले ऑस्ट्रेलिया बॉर्डर्स के हवाले से लेटेस्ट अपडेट सबसे पहले आप तक पहुँच सके। तो चलिए वीडियो को स्टार्ट करते हैं। First update, Victoria is now expected to hit the 80% डबल डोसेस फ्रीडम टारगेट बाय नवंबर 1। देखिए नवंबर 1 तक जो विक्टोरिया के प्रीमियर है उन्होंने कहा कि हम 80% तक डबल डोसेस हिट कर जाएंगे।
Increasingly urgent calls for clarity around the resumption of international travel. The Prime Minister has announced a plan to allow vaccinated passengers into Australia with a pre-flight COVID test and 1 week of home quarantine. But the Australian Chamber of Commerce and Industry says more detail is needed on when skilled workers and tourists will be allowed back in, as well as a timeline for quarantine-free travel. Australian Chamber of Commerce and Industry Chief Executive Andrew McKellar joins me now. Morning to you. Let's go through some of your key concerns. Let's start with the current situation with skilled labour.
Yes, good morning, Nat. And indeed, look, this is one of the most pressing issues, I think, for business as we move into the reopening. So good news that is ahead of us in terms of the international border starting to open up. But at the moment, the pressure for skills around industry in Australia, it's at almost record levels. Certainly the most severe skill shortages in 20 years. So that's right across a range of industries and a range of professions. Not only that, we need to get international students back, an important issue for our education sector, and tourism. We, I guess, need to know, we need to plan for when tourists will be able to start coming back in. The tourist industry, of course, has been absolutely flattened in the pandemic. And that's a key source of revenue.
Yeah, so there are three big issues really, aren't they? Talk us through quarantine and the issues surrounding that.
Well, that's right. I mean, one of the key things that we'll need to resolve as we move into the next phase of the reopening plan and get to the final stages of that will be at what point we can start to open up in terms of quarantine. So at the moment there simply aren't enough quarantine places available. Even if we go back to a situation where we've lifted the international passenger caps, that should be occurring now. That's only about 6,000 quarantine places around Australia. There's some additional capacity coming on stream, but we need much more. In a normal year, before the pandemic, we were bringing in somewhere around the order of 120,000 skilled migrants to Australia, making a very important contribution. We need to get back to at least those levels, and to be honest, to cover some of these skill shortages, we need to probably raise that to 150,000 or 200,000 in the next few years. That's the only way we're going to maximise the pace of the economic recovery, support jobs, support investment, get businesses back on track, and lift living standards.
Yep, the holes are starting to show, aren't they? Andrew, thank you very much for your insight this morning.